morning, everyone. So I would like to talk today about freshwater conservation strategies for the energy industry. But before I go there, I would like to tell you a little bit about Imaginea. So Imaginea is a very small company with the very big ideas. At Imaginea, we want the same thing you want. We want an energy industry that is better for the planet and for people and for profit. And this is a very lofty goal, and we strongly believe that someday we will be able to produce hydrocarbons without greenhouse gas emissions, without air pollution, and without use of fresh water. When we think about water, it's really hard not to think about conservation. Fresh water, I don't know, you probably know, is a finite resource. We won't have any more fresh water unless we get slammed from space with a big comet. And I don't think this should be a backup plan for what's going to happen when we run out of fresh water. So we have to figure out what to do, how to conserve that finite resource, and at the same time continue doing business as we're doing today. As was mentioned before by one of the speakers, every year we use more fresh water for producing our oil. And every year we are producing more oil. So what it means is that at some point we are going to have a huge impact on the freshwater supply. At the same time, you are not the biggest user of fresh water. If you compare our industry with other users, we are relatively small. Only 8.5% of the total water allocation in a year, give it or take, this is data is from 2009, is allocated to our industry. But there is something very unique how we use water in our industry versus all other users. So if you think about hydrologic cycle, this is how the water moves through our ecosystem. That water evaporates, that's how it gets cleaned up, cleansed, and then comes down as a precipitation, falls on the ground, feeds plant, animals, us, flows into the rivers, infiltrate and percolate to the freshwater aquifers. The water is in constant motion. And if you withdraw that water from the system and you use it and you put it back, that water will be available forever. Unfortunately, our industry uses water in a slightly different way, or someone could argue dramatically different way. When we take fresh water from the system and we put that water down into the oil-bearing zones, or we dispose it to the disposal zones, that water is not coming back. And if we continue withdrawing even a small amount of water from the hydrologic cycle, and we never bring it back, at some point we are going to start running out of fresh water. So we have to start thinking about it. So where would the water come from? Actually, as an oil and gas industry, we are an amazing water producer. Today we produce, in just conventional oil production, more than 3 times of the water we require for all our operations, including drilling, completion, fracking, injection, and all industrial use. So we actually have a lot of water. Unfortunately, that water is not very good. We cannot use it right away because it has a lot of dissolved stuff in it, and we are running into an issue that we have to do something. We have to process that water. So this is something I would like to talk to you about today, that we have a lot of water. We can process that water and use that water today, and we just have to figure out how to do it. So the strategy going forward should be very simple. So at Imaginea, I can think like a 3-step strategy to get and transfer totally away from fresh water. I mean, first, it's very obvious. Just use produced water. Whenever you have produced water, whenever you can get access to it. Unfortunately, there are some areas in Alberta where the produced water may not be available, but then maybe the next step should be looking at the saline groundwater, the fossil water below freshwater aquifers. And on occasion, when we have area where none of those 2 options are available, maybe we can, for example, use waterless fracturing. I'm a big fan, for example, of the fracturing with natural gas, because you fracturing with the medium, you can produce back with your flowback, process in your facility, and send it down to your customers. Any other option is a little more tricky and has some downsides with it. So at Imaginea, we have a plan, and I will tell you what that plan is. First of all, like many conventional oil producers, we have a lot of water. So this is an example from one of our facilities where we're processing every day around 10,000 cubes of water. That water has a lot of solids, about 50,000 TDS, and we figured out that we can actually process a small amount of that water to the standard we can use, and we will not have a problem with compatibility, nor with any of our producing zones, or with any chemicals we use, to about 125 cubic meter a day, with about 10,000 TDS. In the process, we got also going to end up with a heavy brine. And initially, we thought that would be a problem, but actually it isn't. We can use that heavy brine instead of KCl water for killing some of the wells when we have workovers on in our gas wells. We can sell it to others who may require it, or we can put it simply back into the stream of water injection and put it back where it came from. You're probably thinking this is very expensive. We evaluated a number of technologies, and one technology which really stuck with us is the radial deionization. Total cost around $5 per cube is all we need to get that processed water capable for us to use it in every downhole operations we have. But there is a catch here. On one hand, we will be using less or none of the fresh water. On another hand, we will be using energy to process our produced water. So let me make it clear. So on one hand, we will be very good because we are not using fresh water. On the other hand, we will be producing most likely more greenhouse gases and air pollution because we will be using energy to process that water. And at Imaginea, we have this concept called AND, the AND solutions. Basically, anytime we try to solve the problem, we will not try to solve one problem or the other. We are trying to solve many problems together, and we want the positive outcome in every problem we touch. So our solution to that oil problem with the AND problem is very simple. We would like to convert our oil batteries to be way more efficient, producing no air pollution and minimizing our greenhouse gas emissions, while at the same time lowering our OPEX and being capable of processing our water. So how are we going to do it? We are going to install fuel cells, which are the off-shelf product, actually very widely used right now. Unfortunately not in Canada, but for example in the United States. It's an off-shelf product, and it converts natural gas without combustion into electricity with the amazing 44% efficiency. And the rest of the energy is available as a heat. So what we can do, we can power our compressors, our water pumps, and we can process our produced water with that electricity. And at the same time, we can use all wasted heat for oil effluent processing. And at the end of the day, we're not only going to eliminate all air pollution associated with combustion in our facilities, because there will be no combustion. We are going to minimize energy required, because we have a much higher efficiency of getting that energy from natural gas. We're going to have a lower operating cost. And at the same time, we will have no need to use fresh water. I mean, we see it as a fantastic way of moving forward and getting closer to our lofty goal of producing oil and gas without emissions, without pollution, and without use of fresh water. There is a very interesting angle for us why we would do that. So if we think today about our industry, we are in distress. The prices are very low, and we have a difficulty in Alberta with access to tidewater. So when we always think about what that access is, we always think we just need to get our oil to tidewater and we'll be okay. The differentials will be much lower. And I would argue that access does not only depend on getting our oil to tidewater. The access heavily depends on people willing to buy our oil at the premium price. And the way the world is changing, the way the people are more sensitive to environmental causes, the way people are demanding cleaner and greener products today, we may find ourselves out, if we won't dramatically improve our environmental performance, that our oil will be deemed dirty, and even if we bring it to tidewater, it will be very difficult to get the full market price for our oil. And when I look at getting us off, eliminating fresh water use, that could be the easiest way to show the world how clean and how good our product is, as how responsible we are as Albertans, as Canadians, to bring energy to the world in a better way than it happened before. anytime I talk to many of my colleagues and people from the industry, everybody say, but this is not the right time. Today, we don't have easy cash, so what are we going to do? And I would argue that actually this is the best time. Think about what happened in the couple of years back. We were so busy that we had no time to do anything else. We were just trying to bring more product to the market and sell it. We couldn't find people. We couldn't find resources. Everything was more expensive. Today, we have resources available. We have time to stop and think. We have a lot of amazing people in this province who can tackle this problem and solve it. You don't need a lot of people. You don't need the whole association pulling resources together. You need one or two champions who are really passionate about the cause, who will go and get it done, who would not be easily prevented and dismayed if someone says, no, it cannot be done. We just need a couple of those in the industry and believe that this is the right thing to do, and we're going to move forward much faster than we ever moved before. So I really hope that I inspire you today to, rather than looking at the small steps, thinking about the big picture and thinking how we can get ourselves away from using fresh water. I really hope that you can see that this would be one of the great tools to get our product to be more accepted around the world as a cleaner and better. And I really hope that you see that this is a really good thing to do. It will be very good for our province. It will be very good for our industry. It will be very good for you, for me, and for our children. Thank you.